have you ever built a website for anybody?
Not for anyone else besides myself.
Okay, so what I do as a web designer, just in terms of like contractual stuff, when somebody approaches me or I approach somebody and we start to talk about web design, the first thing I tell them is let's meet in person. I know digital marketing is very digital and people think let's just meet online all the time and that's great. But if you can meet in person or Skype with them, I absolutely would just recommend that because you get a good feel for them and that's when your customer relationship and service rapport starts, right? So, and that is going to be the biggest thing in your digital marketing journey is your customer service and your relationships with people. And I know people don't want to preach that these days. People think it's all about skill and how much you know, and it's really not.
I
I've
believe
had
it.
people take major risks with me and helps too because they know me. So
That's awesome.
that's what I want to recommend to you. Don't ever forget how important relationship is to your company. And I've also seen the opposite happen. Like I went to Costa Rica last year for a month, and one of our clients, everything, all the work was good, but he just really felt abandoned, to be honest. And that hurt him. He felt abandoned by me. The whole team was still with him. They were meeting weekly, but
Right.
Gabby left for a month, and the relationship started with me. And he really expected me to carry that relationship out throughout its whole duration, and I didn't. I was gone for a month, and I felt like that would be okay. And I even explained it to him. I sent him an email. I talked to him about it. He seemed really cool, but turns out he wasn't cool with it, and it just blew up in
Yeah.
our face. He was really upset and didn't work out. And even though, we didn't disagree and things did not go down well on either part, I think we could all apologize to each other, right? In certain ways. It was a learning lesson to me. I took my lesson and I walked away with it. You can't just abandon a client, and
Right.
expect them to be okay. So even when things aren't producing on time, which happens tons in marketing, you're just like, oh, this is not happening on the time schedule I thought it would. Just call them before they call you. So that's the best advice I could give you. So when I actually sit down with somebody doing web design, the first thing I say is like, what is your goal? And that's one thing that has been misconstrued with me and clients when I first started is I wouldn't ask that question. I would assume what their goals were from my own perspective. And if you don't get an answer, you might actually build a website that's not conducive to them. So somebody will say, hey, I really want to just sell my book on this website. Okay, cool. I know exactly my mind. I start thinking, well, Squarespace is perfect for that, or we could do it on WordPress. I always go WordPress if it's a little more complicated and I need things that aren't like average Squarespace features, which is rare. So, but yeah, so we go through that process. What's your goal? What's your timeline? What do you see? How do you see this website? What does your branding look like? Do you have branding? Do you have a logo? Do you have a color scheme? Because I need to work within that and pick a theme or pick just some kind of interface that looks good with what you're already doing. So that's what I ask people, and I just pick their brains. I just ask a ton of questions so I feel comfortable, and I'm not afraid to, once I walk away from them and I start building to get in touch with them and ask them more questions, and that gives them the security that you're actually doing what you said you'll be doing.
Right.
Yeah, so just staying in touch, I think that's huge. So I just make sure I contact people constantly, and that helps too. We contact our clients every single week. We meet with them online. It doesn't always happen because we're humans and we have lives, right? But we try to
Right.
constantly stay in touch, email, even a phone call, whatever it takes. So, yeah, so that's huge. And then once you get that information, I start building, and I build it out. And what I usually do is I take my hourly, like, I take an approximate number of hours. So the amount I make them pay, and it started off really small. Like, for example, when I first started building websites on my own, I charged someone $500 because I was a nobody, right? But now that I'm in this industry and I've been here a while and I've done like not hundreds, but like a lot of websites, like probably about
Right.
20 major websites. I've probably built out
Wow.
about that many now. And I never expected to. It just happened over time.
Cool.
Yeah, I take the amount of hours I expect to spend. I add like probably about 2 to 5 on that because we always downplay how much something does take in time. And I take the industry rate, which is for web design, it's $75 an hour. right now.
Nice.
Yeah, and I'm in California, so that might be more of a California rate, but for me, that's the rate where I'm going. And
Right.
I give a discount. So I'll usually take that and I'll do like 50 or depending on the situation. Like if somebody's really in a bind and you can tell they're a really small business, I might cut it
Yep.
down to 40, $40 an
Yep.
hour. So I'll say maybe this will take 10 hours, $40 an hour. But honestly, most of the time I'm just like, this is going to be like a 25-hour project, like honestly, and $75 an hour. And then you do that. And I ask them for at least 1/4 of it as a deposit. So
Okay.
yeah, you can always do half depending on how small it is or how big it is. And then I have a contract that I can send you, and I'll send it to you right now. It's in layman's terms, actually. It's a web design contract. And it's really cool because it spells out. I have just learned the hard way, Hunter, that you want to just cover yourself, right? And protect yourself and protect other people. I think people feel protected when you send them a contract that's in plain English and it spells it out like really clearly. And in the contract, I tell them how much it's going to cost, how much I expect as a down payment or a deposit, and then I tell them that they get 2 edits. So they get 2 chances to look at the website and tell me what they need to be changed or fixed. I'll go back and change it, and then they get one more chance to do that again. And then after that, I tell them it's going to be $75 an hour or whatever rate I'm charging them per hour for edits. And that saves me. You'd be so surprised when you're building someone a website how many times they don't thoroughly look over it. And they just do a glance and they say, oh, the title, I don't like the way it looks. But they don't look at the rest of the
Oh,
website.
back and notice something. Gotcha.
Yeah, so you end up doing like 10 revisions and it takes forever as opposed to just sitting down and just like knocking it out. And so
Yeah.
just to like have people take you seriously, I give them a contract usually while I sit down with them that first time and I go over it with them. Just like I went over your internship curriculum. I make sure
Yep.
everything's clear. There's no questions. I ask them if they have questions. I'm just always, I know it sounds crazy, but over communicating because with business, people feel sometimes that they get cheated when you don't over communicate. So just make sure they're clear with you. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Make sure you subscribe. We here at Help Sue, we love doing videos and we have some great things coming at you. We have things for writers, musicians, business owners, anybody who really has a project and a heart to reach people, we want to help them do it. So if you are a creative or business owner, we got tons for you.